All right, welcome everyone. This is the episode 1 of Hunt, Fish, Spear, and we got Tech, Shelby, and Mia, and they were nice enough to come up and help me, like I said earlier, be my guinea pigs and help me through this process, and hopefully we'll get some cool conversations. I know they have some really cool stories, and through being friends with Tech on social media, I saw the Mia's recent hunt, and it's super inspiring because obviously these ladies are both ambassadors to the hunting industry for, you know, young women and for anyone really. I mean, you know, I don't bow hunt, and it's like watching you guys kick butt at it. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to do it. You know what I mean? So it's not even about just young girls. It's about, you know, just getting out there and learning and putting the time in. And that's why I wanted you guys on. So welcome. Thanks for being a part of this, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, yeah.
Cool. Well, I figured I had some questions, and there's obviously some stories we want to hear. So, Tech, you're from what, New Orleans?
Born and raised in New Orleans, ended up in Florida back in 79, 80, and the rest is history.
So, did you hunt in New Orleans, or?
Grew up with my dad, duck hunting, dove hunting, more birds. No deer. Didn't shoot my first deer till I was 21.
Is there good deer in New Orleans? Or?
There is. It's just that wasn't our thing. He was more of a duck hunter. He did decorative decoys.
Oh, cool.
He was a wood carver.
Nice.
Worked for the airline, so we got to travel a lot. But
nice.
My mom was city. You know, my dad was from the sticks. So,
nice. Do you still have some of those decoys?
Absolutely.
When was the last time you hunted them?
Haven't hunted any of them. They're hanging up. He passed 4 years ago, so my mom's got a lot of his stuff hanging in the house. So it's good to see.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So you moved here, and when you said the 80s?
Yeah, it was. Went to high school in Fort Myers. Graduated there. Went to Tampa. Did a little hunting. Through all that time. Came over here, got married, didn't hunt for years and years and years. Had kids, and their mom lives on the beach. We live in Lighthouse Point. Everything's great, but they got to start going with me. So. Yeah,
it's fun. I mean, like with social media now, it's like you see it's a compile of everybody put together. And you see everyone's hunts, and you're like, everyone's hunting. And like, if you're not able to, if like for me, my kids have a magic way of getting sick before anything I have to do. So it's like every time, if you like miss a hunt, then you see like all these people like, everyone's hunting and I missed it. But in reality, it's just like you said, when you first got married, you have priorities, and there's people out there that are like, oh, well, I tell my wife I'm hunting no matter what. It's like, you know what, like, my kids and my wife come before hunting every time. Right. And if the more I can combine them into one happy, joyous, harmonious thing, the better. But, they come first. I'm not going to,
Absolutely.
I'm not going to put them in front of, or I'm not going to put hunting in front of any of that. But, which is, I mean, before I met my wife, all I did was fish. And then, like, I went from fishing 24/7, literally staying up all night on bridges and, like, just rolling into work, like basically sleeping,
right?
To finding someone who I'd rather hang out with than fish, which is like, that's pretty impressive.
It's all about family,
Yeah,
it's
for
all
sure.
about family.
So you started young. Me and Shelby, you guys were kind of telling me the story about it was Shelby's birthday.
Yes, it was my birthday, and I decided for my birthday I wanted to go to do some archery. So. Yeah.
And how old are you then?
9, 8.
8, yeah.
8. All right, that's cool. I feel like that's you're raised right when at 8 instead of wanting to be like doing more girly stuff. You're like, no, I wanna get into this. Plus Hunger Games.
Yes, those were good movies.
Yeah, for sure. So they were telling me the story. So you guys were down there shooting it, and you did it for what, like 4 hours? And
we were there for a long time, and she was like shooting constantly, and us being so competitive, I was like, I have to try this out. So
yeah,
that's funny. And you said what you started an hour into it because you were like,
I was watching her and she was doing so well, and obviously I wanted to do it better, so I tried, and I did it better.
Now, are you guys?
Well,
That's to be debated.
yeah.
Are you guys still like? Are you super competitive about like
Yes.
Yes.
everything? Or-
Everything.
that was
Mostly.
see. That was one of my questions. I was like, I wonder if these girls are like, you know, one girl gets a deer and you're like, oh, I'm so proud of you, or the other one, or if you're like, you know what, now I got to get a deer. Now I got to get
It's
bigger
both
deer.
ways. Like,
yeah.
I'm proud of her for doing it, but
But
We're
you-
happy for each other, but then we're
we
like,
have
okay,
the next
yes,
person has to
next
get
time.
a bigger.
right?
Yeah.
And that's healthy. I think.
Mhm.
I think a good balance between both is important.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it in I have 4 boys, so I can only imagine the competitiveness that's going to happen. But you know, we're not a huge competitive family. We're both like of the course that, you know, not necessarily participation trophies, but you know that everyone can win. Like, you know, if there's a clear loser, I'll be like, no, you lost. But you know, it's not like, oh, you participated, you get a trophy. It's like, you know what, like you're gonna do good and he's gonna do good, but I know they're gonna be competitive, and I'm curious to see how the dynamics play out between the 4 of them.
Get ready.
It's gonna be intense. So you guys started when you were 8, so that would make you have been like
I
what,
was around 12.
12?
Yeah.
And so did you immediately like, all right, before you walked out of Bass Pro, you wanted a bow for your birthday, or like
Yeah, I think
Pretty
so.
much.
both
I,
of you,
I
right?
had
Yeah,
a lot
both
of
of us.
fun. So
And in our first hunt, we went and just like to watch him,
Right.
and it was like great.
yeah,
We
I
make so many memories out of it.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna want to do it for a while.
Good. Cool. So, how long was it before you took them out? Once you went from the birthday party to,
It was pretty much, her birthday was in August, and it was Christmas that they went with me and sat in the stand. It was
did you
a
guys see anything? or no?
double stand. There was pigs actually. It was Christmas. Santa Claus brought her a Weatherby 243, or them. So we got to leave that Christmas morning, go up to a property we had in Sebring. A friend let us hunt up there.
Okay.
So it was trying to find a safe place to bring 2 kids. Public land was just out of the question at the time. And so they went on a hunt. We saw pigs, didn't get one, but it was cool. They didn't have to harvest anything or see anything, but just being in the outdoors, waking up, dealing with the bugs, being quiet.
Yeah.
So all the things you have to have, and it was probably a year before they decided that they actually wanted to try to harvest
Take
something
an
themselves. And Shelby was first with a squirrel,
Yes.
and
She's a killer.
but she was practicing, her targets and shooting, and we would take them shooting and. Hitting them in the crease, making that perfect shot, that ethical shot.
Right.
Don't take it unless you can drop them. So her first squirrel hunt, she was shooting my uncle's Weatherby 22, and she hit a squirrel and another squirrel and came out of the tree, and I picked him up, and I'm like, oh, baby. I said, look at this, and perfect shot right in the crease. She goes, it's a perfect shot. I went, squirrels, you got to hit them in the head. There's no meat left.
She didn't tell me that before. So,
So then she started hitting them in the head, and this was without a scope or anything.
Really?
So
yeah.
she was hooked.
Cool. Now, did you guys eat it? Did you eat it?
Yes.
What do you think?
It was good.
It was
It was
interesting.
definitely. Yeah, I hadn't had it
Interesting is the
before,
word.
and he made it like over a fire or something. So that made it even.
Definitely made it the wrong way.
Yeah.
But then they said, I said, well, we're going to eat what we take, and,
Right.
And she says, well, it's not my favorite, but how about I shoot them and you eat them? Deal.
Little service.
Deal.
Yes.
Now that you mentioned something that was like one of the points I like I said, I started this because I want to learn more, and as a parent of 4 with 5 being the oldest, I'm wondering where do I begin in getting them outdoors. And I actually reached out to you I think a year ago. I don't know if you remember, but I was I saw you taking the girls out, and I was like, all right, that's what I want to do. And I asked you what are some things to do, and you said you would start with a camera. and have them shoot pictures before they're shooting guns and all that, which was really cool advice, and I appreciate that a lot. But then a question I wanted to ask was, how do you get over the fears of taking a child on public land between snakes, poisonous snakes, gators, idiot hunters who will shoot something without having a shot, and tree stands and climbers? I mean, obviously, harnesses and all that stuff, but like, how do you get over those fears? Like,
being a father of girls, and a lot of my girl friends, women that I know, they're always scared of something. Walking down the street at night, a spider, a snake, a frog. So I've tried to raise these guys to not fear anything. If you understand it, then you're not scared of it. A venomous snake will never attack you. It's never going to attack you. If you pay attention to your surroundings, you know what's going on in life. So it's just a great life lesson. But public land hunting, there's a real fear there for other stupid hunters drinking alcohol. We don't do any of that. But I think the key for me is getting in early before the other crews are coming in. I can watch them come in, call them off, flashlight. We don't use a flashlight when we walk in. So nobody's going to see us coming. Most people do, and I'll see you from a long way away. Right. Typically, we hunt thick areas, not a lot of open areas. A long shot for us is 30 yards. They're pulling, both of them now are pulling ethical weight on a bow. So, I won't let them shoot more than 20 yards. So it's, the longer shots, the gun hunts, tree stands, we just try to make it safe. Yeah. But we found another guy through social media, Wally and Jamie Collins. Yeah. Who has just been amazing. They're Uncle Wally, basically. Right. Yeah. So he's taken them under his wing and given them some opportunities they never would have had. But on private land. On private land, and he lives in Kenansville, so 3 lakes, Prairie Lakes. The management area is up there, so we've got a lot of time running around those areas. So scouting. Getting to stay with him, so it's a home base. Makes it so safe. We can get in and get out, without the dangers of them being shot. Right. We go to areas typically the other guys won't.
Gotcha. And that's, my first quota that I'll be hunting public land is I got 3 lakes muzzleloader. I've never been up there, and I don't have the time to scout. So, I think that's the importance of bringing someone else like you guys have, like Wally and them to show you. I think I've convinced Mark Cohen to help me come up there, and I know he filled one tag last night on a gator. I don't know.
Ryan sent me pictures of that.
I don't know how many he'll have left, but he said he's going to bring the duck boat, and hopefully we'll do a little hunting and maybe get a gator in between. But
we've hunted with Mark Corbett. He lives up there, so spent some time with Mark. His family is awesome as well. Yeah,
he's like maybe half a mile from me. There you go. I ran into him at Home Depot the other day, but it's funny. You on Facebook you have all these friends, and you start adding people that are doing things that you want to do. And then you have some people who are like, why are you friends with so many people that you don't know on Facebook? And you're like, you don't understand. Right. I don't know them until I know them. You know what I mean? Like, I was friends with Mark for, forever. And then you ask him one question, or it's, you ask if somebody something that you see they're doing, and they'll be able to help you. And then it's just a friendship can blossom from it. And now it's like people who you go hunt with. And it's just like there's, a friend that like you weren't necessarily friends with. Right. But it's just something that you make, you know what I mean? So
it's amazing the friends through the fishing community or hunting community that I've met around the world, that, people, my kids will say, walking through Home Depot and somebody says, hey, Tech, and like, how do you know that person? It's like through Facebook. It's just social media has been great. And when we started it really just for my family, So everybody's in New Orleans still. So this was a way that I could share. So that's why I try to write these stories to tell
Yeah.
it. So when I forget, that they can remind me.
Yeah, and that's what was like. Once I saw the story, I was like, I should have them on. And so that's, I guess, let's talk about that. Like, do you guys Mia, you want to tell the story? I read your dad, so I'd
It
like to
was
hear
so
your story
amazing.
of your deer.
It was great. So Friday after school, we went up to Kenansville and we hunted. We didn't really see anything, so we went back the next No. We hunted in the morning and we didn't see anything, so we hunted at night in a different area. And he sat somewhere and saw a bunch of deer coming in, pigs. The deer never came by me, but the pigs came in, but not like close enough. So it was dark and they all left. So we left and we went back in the morning and I sat where he sat, where all the deer were coming in.
Sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I saw nothing.
And so around 10 o'clock, a deer came in, a doe came in, and she ended up leaving, and a buck came in and watched him maybe for 30 minutes. And by 10:30, I texted my dad. I was like, I got it. And so I tracked where it went, the last place I saw it. And when we finally got down to go find blood, we couldn't find anything. So we called Florida Camo to see if they could get like one of their dogs to come out and help us track it. But they were all hunting. So one of his friends, Hunter, has a tracking dog. So we called him out. And he was hunting, but he came around 5 and we ended up finding it within 45 minutes. So it was great.
So do they know like how many people were just sitting on the edge of their seat on fit? Oh man,
No, they're not on Facebook. So.
yeah. So it was. There's that Facebook group. What is it? Florida
Blood Trailing
Yeah.
Network.
Yeah. So your dad posted it, and literally, I mean, everyone's like, "Did you find it? Did you find it? Did you find it?" People were like, "They found it." We're like, "Post a picture." Post a picture.
Yeah,
So,
I
like,
had no idea
yeah.
how that snowballed.
Yeah. People were just so stoked for you, and like really, it's really cool. Justin and who runs the blood one, Kenny or
I think Kenny Mullins runs it, but there's
really-
so many good people, handlers up there.
yeah. They got something cool going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's a great way to bring us all together. And it's like, it makes you feel like we were like on part of that hunt to
Right.
like
Yeah.
sit there and, because when I'm sitting in a cubicle and I'm reading about, where you guys are at and like your dad will post big, Hunter just got here, me and me are, grabbing the airboat. You're like, it feels like you're there. You're
Right.
like, it's just cool. It's almost like a knockoff version of a hunting show. It's like a hunting novel because you're reading it on Facebook, but it's real time. So had you ever had a dog?
First time I've ever had to track anything. When Mia made the shot and she screamed, "Dad, I got it!" and I was about 80 yards away from her. She was in a climber, I was in a climber, and so gave her about 30 minutes. Went over to her and she was still shaking.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part, the adrenaline. It's great.
It was so I went to where she shot the deer and could see that he jumped, kicked there. She couldn't tell me how many points
I
it
know, I
had.
laughed
She
at
couldn't
that.
remember
I
anything.
was so scared. I was so nervous.
Their arrow had broke off about 8 inches left inside the deer, so that was the only blood was on the arrow. So
what do you think happened? You think the arrow plugged the hole?
yeah, I think it it wasn't a pass through. It turns out it was a double lung, clipped the heart, and the broadhead stuck in the other shoulder. So the inside. So there was no pass through, but when he ran, what was sticking out because it was right in the crease, the arrow snapped off. So it was mid lung, not low. So the lungs had to fill up before it was going to start pouring out.
Oh, okay.
So that was the issue. Not so much plugging up the hole or anything like that, because it was a good sized hole there.
But
But
just had a nice little lungs to fill up before.
But we field dressed it right there, and he was just a gallon of coagulated blood, sitting there. So having that dog, but knowing about this group and listening to everybody else's story about, I looked for 2 hours, couldn't find a deer, trampled the whole area, and you bring a dog out, and it makes it tough. And so I just knew immediately
back out.
back out, call in the cavalry. And
How long did it take Allie, the dog, to find the deer?
it was 45 minutes total from the time we put her on the lead, and she started going. She makes a hard left, and Hunter tells me, goes, did the deer go this way? And I said,
Right.
I really believe it went more north, east than
Right.
than north, and so he pulled her back, and she got on
So
another.
she could have done it sooner.
Yeah. So she went off, and she found where another deer had bedded down, and I was like, this, there was no blood, no nothing there.
Yeah.
So he pulled her back to start over, and she again made a hard left, and he's like, let's just go with it. And through
Yeah, what do you have to
flag
lose?
pond, and grass was over their head, and she just started jumping, and he knew something was up, and
Yeah.
just let her run out, and she was just ecstatic, and
Yeah.
he said, we found it, and it was like,
So what were your thoughts when you heard him say we found it?
I think my mind went blank. Like, I was so happy because at first I thought we weren't going to find it, but then we did. So
Did you have faith in the dog? Or
Yes,
yeah.
she was so sweet. She was so cute and adorable, and I love dogs, so
Yeah.
I believe they can do anything.
Yeah. So you thought when he said she's 8, you thought she was 8 years old?
oh yeah, talking to him on the phone, it was this was her first deer, and there was no blood. So how to me, a tracking dog needs blood to find the deer, and there was
Right.
no blood. And what Hunter taught me was that the way he trains his dog, and I'm sure a lot of handlers do, is they don't train him on blood. They train him on
Oh,
scent.
really? I guess I would have thought they would train on blood.
That's what I thought. So it was a great learning experience. But so, a hog dog will just follow every hog out there. These deer dogs, they're following a deer, and even another deer, they could easily get off track. But somehow she keeps it together, and it was
Right.
amazing to watch her work.
Yeah, I mean, anytime somebody posts like that, it's I don't know why it seems more exciting than hunting almost. Like it's like if somebody posts like, oh, I got a deer coming in, or like a big buck down, it's like super exciting. But then it's like when you hear the dogs out there, then
Right.
it's like another element where you're like, all right,
Right.
is this dog gonna get it done?
Right.
You know what I
Running
mean?
coons and dogs like that, they're barking, and you hear hog dogs. They're barking. You let them go. But tracking dogs are quiet, and I was surprised. I learned so much from this, but it was really, really cool. But getting back to the 8-year-old, when he said, oh yeah, she's 8. That's all he said, 8. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, you've done this forever, and this
Right.
is perfect.
Now that was on the phone.
That was on the
So
phone.
then you saw her, and you're like, that's a puppy.
And I'm thinking she's
a
a
really
pup,
young-
she's small, and then we got out there, and he said, we took the airboat back to save some walking time, and he said something about, this is her second deer. I'm thinking second deer in 8 years. No, she's 8
You
months.
mean this week, right? Second year this week?
So, but he looked at me, with that look, and like, bro, we got this, and
Yeah.
and when we went off track that first time, I'm thinking this is going to be a long night, but when she took that second left turn, it was just I lit up. But the bad thing for me was I like recording the experience.
Right.
Their turkey hunts, their squirrel hunts, their deer hunts, their pig hunts, the aftermath, everything that happens after that. And this was the first one that I didn't get. And, so that bothers me.
So what are you gonna do different? Would you?
I'm putting a camera, that mount with the phone on her bow every other hunt.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now she's, we used to sit in a double stand, the 3 of us. Now, we're a bunch of sardines in a can.
Right.
Can't do that. So last
So you
year.
could put this right on like a climber or something. Put it right on there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do something
could
like
just
that,
sit
or,
there,
or
yeah.
mount right on the bow or
Yeah.
the rifle, whatever it is. But I'm not going to miss that experience because
Yeah.
I got to her 30 minutes later and she was, still emotional about it.
Yeah.
And which, God, if you don't get emotional, you're doing it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Why are you even? I don't know that anyone would put up with waking up, all the scouting,
Right.
waking up early, walking through the woods in the dark, if you didn't get that feeling. You
It
know what
was-
I mean? You'd be
it
like,
was-
you just sit on the couch if you don't get that
Right.
feeling.
It was amazing. And, she texts Shelby, and we play a lot of jokes in the house.
A
so
lot.
So last year when Shelby got her deer, sent Mia a picture. She's like, "You did not get that deer," and it was a buddy's deer that we had helped find. But this time Mia sends her deer. She's like, "That's you're punking me again."
Uh-huh.
But we got her.
Yeah. I was like, you didn't get that. Are
He
you
was like, "Don't lie to
serious?"
me. Like, that's not yours." I was like, "Yes, it is."
That's funny. That's funny. So what do you well, real quick, I'd like to give a shout out to all the dog handlers and Hunter.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
even if you don't need them, it's just like a vote of confidence to have them and to know that. I mean, it blows my mind because it was like 10:30 last night. I'm on Facebook before I fall asleep, and somebody shot one, and somebody was like, "I can be there in 45." They were like, "Just shot one," and in my head, I'm like, "Dude, it's like 11 o'clock. Like, how could you get anyone to do that right now?" And it's just like first post, like, "Let me know. I can be there in 45 minutes." I was like, "Okay, yeah." They just roll anytime.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's. I did post on that thing on a sub thread asking which what do you like more? Do you like hunting or do you like doing running your dog to help someone? And pretty much everyone on that site was like, definitely enjoy running the dog more than hunting, just because it's super rewarding, they said.
Right.
And they said to find a deer that would have been lost if it weren't for the time they've put in to help training their dog
Yeah.
is like, it's got to be rewarding.
Absolutely.
And exciting. And
the best part, I think, they want a dog, and I'm not ready for the commitment of a dog yet.
Right.
But
We have a lot of pets.
if
already.
we had a dog, it would be a deer dog.
yeah.
Only because how many great areas do you get to learn about? You call me, I got a deer down. I know now where you hunt.
True. Yeah. Yeah. You're like,
Not that I want to hunt your
I was
spot,
sitting in this state.
but you learn
Yeah,
so much
yeah.
about the different spots. Last year we learned a lot hunting with another friend of ours from down south. He took me out to one of his spots, and it was an area I would never have thought, to hunt. And
Right.
he's got monster deer on public land. So,
Right.
you
Yeah,
get to
that's-
learn so much. And if you had a dog,
Yeah. And people, you're finding their deer for them. They don't care. Like, yeah,
Right.
just come out. Man.
Exactly.
Like, whatever. If you learn the spot, at least I get that
Right.
deer that would have gone to waste. It doesn't go to waste, plus it's got to
Right.
eat too. But
and I don't think anybody would hunt, that
Yeah.
spot, but it's, the area, the time of year.
Yeah.
Acorns are falling right now. If you're not hunting the oaks for deer, good luck.
yeah, right.
Or on their way to, to the
Right.
oaks. But up Central Florida, public land, private land, if you're feeding your deer, they're not eating corn right now. They're looking for acorns.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a question for you girls. What is it you guys want to do when you grow up? I feel like it's like a Gang Starr line.
I want to move to Georgia and be out there. I feel like everything's just country and open out there. So I feel like I'd want to keep hunting and not stay in the city. It's better being outdoors. I'd rather be outdoors than going to the mall or staying in the city. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't really know. I do think I will still want to be hunting for forever.
while,
Yeah, as long as I can. But other than that, I'm not quite sure.
Now, when you guys say that, do you have any aspirations to be in the hunting industry as a job on how you pay the bills? Or you're
Maybe.
no, I'm going to school for this. I want to do this, but I'm going to hunt.
I would definitely consider it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it makes so many memories and experiences. You get so many different things out of it. So
Right.
I would
Yeah.
consider consider doing it for a full-time job.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's something we like to do.
Yeah,
So,
and if you like doing it, you might as well stick to it.
Right.
yeah.
It only gets better.
And it's funny if you think about it. I don't know if you guys are, not that, I don't know if you're old enough to realize it, but you guys doing this, you have to sit there and think about how many memories that other people will create because they've seen you
Yeah.
able to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's it's almost bigger than you. You know what I mean? As for how many country songs are there of like, young boys getting brought out into the woods and stuff like that. But it's like, it's 2018 and, it's awesome that girls are getting out there and there's, you see people like, Eva Shockey and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they, they're really ambassadors to the sport. And it's just, I don't know that you would know the repercussions of you guys getting more active in it. If you, like, how many other dads would get to sit there with girls if they saw you guys doing it and they're like, well, Dad, I want to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like,
I think everyone should try it. Like,
yeah, for sure.
It's a great
Yeah.
thing.
For sure. But, all right. So you were talking about having a lot of pets. What's up with the possum?
Oh, I miss
Well,
our possum.
You guys don't
They
have
were
them anymore?
definitely one of like my favorite like things that
We
lived
have
in
so
our house.
many animals.
So tell me about, like, where did it come from? Like,
The
how did you get a possum?
possums?
Oh,
Our dad's friend was trying to catch raccoons that were at his house by his like property, but he ended up getting 3 baby possums, and he called my dad like, "Oh, do you want to come over? You could get them, and you could feed them to snakes." And
so we were like, oh yeah, let's go get them. But by
Yeah.
the time we got there and we were heading home, we had like named all the possums.
Oh,
and
no,
we were
that's-
holding them
that's
and playing
not
with
what you
him.
do.
So he made
They
a
were
deal
babies,
with us.
yeah.
Yeah, they
Oh,
were
wow.
like this
Baby
big.
babies.
He made a deal with us that if we could get them eating and everything by the end of the week,
We could have kept
we could
them.
keep them. But if not, they're going to the snake. So we got them to eat and everything, and so we ended up keeping
Eat or
them.
you'll die.
So we ended up keeping them, and then we got a few more. They ran away.
one like chewed through a screen in our house, like through the back door on the screen. It chewed through, and they all got out. But 2 of them came back, and one never
really?
came back. And we tried finding it for a couple weeks, and we didn't find it. So,
We don't know what happened to him.
and then one of them got what was
One
it
of them
called
came
with that-
back in.
Yeah, but what was the thing called where they like walk on their elbow?
And,
Oh,
and
that
the
was Mickey.
possums get a disease from diet. It's metabolic bone
Oh
disease.
yeah.
So people who take in a possum, try to rehab it, you feed them things that they want. Fruit, too much of this, too much of that,
Right.
and they get this disease. Now, possums in the wild only live on average 1.5 years.
Oh, really?
Very short lifespan, and it's a marsupial. It's not a rat. They're the most misunderstood animal ever, but because
They're so sweet and caring.
back to we
Yeah.
talking
You
about
wouldn't think that.
training these girls with experience not to fear anything. I was terrified of possums. They'll rip your face off.
Yeah. They like
An-
paralyze
another
you.
not.
another friend from social media, Kevin Newcomer up in Ohio. His kids trap, and they would have possums and foxes and whatever. And I sent him a message. I was like, you can't post a picture holding this big possum. People aren't going to know that it's playing possum. Rip your face off. And he's like, that thing was alive. We just took it out of a leg trap. They're not worth anything, so we carry them around and let them go. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, because I'm going to go catch a possum and punk my kids with it. And so that's how the whole possum thing started. So it's been the most misunderstood animal ever, but
Really?
they don't bark, they don't bite, super clean. And,
They clean everything. They clean their foods. They clean their hands. They like
Really?
It's
Yeah, and they're so cute.
So now these things get sick, they're almost crippled like. I couldn't really figure out what was going on, so I reached out to social media and found that there's this possum group. Just like
Yeah.
a
Of course
hunting
there
group.
is.
Of course there is.
Why wouldn't there be a possum?
So, the crazy cat ladies, now it's the crazy possum ladies,
Uh-huh.
and they took me under their wing, and it was absolutely insane the amount of information they gave. And I, taught these guys what to do, and we kind of, they grew up, and one of them, Sid ran off. He went in the rut,
Yes.
and he took off. The other
Our
two
cat
females,
caught the other one.
Oh,
Yeah.
the other two were Puff lived for about 1 year, and then she passed, and Daisy made it to
Like
2.5 years.
longest
Yeah.
out of all of them.
2.5 years. Huh?
Yeah.
I know. I was like on Facebook. I was like, man, they just got possums. That's crazy.
Possums, cats, snakes.
What else?
But he won't let us get a dog. I don't
Yeah.
understand this.
Dogs are a lot. Dogs
Can't
are
go
a
hunting
lot.
when you have a dog. Who's
Yeah.
going to watch the dog?
Exactly.
Possums, you can just let it run around your house. So
I know. My wife wanted a dog for a long time, but it's like, I'm like, we go to like Disney for like 4 days straight, like all the time. Like, how, like, who's going to come over and watch that dog for 4 days straight? Because the grandmas come with us.
it's even harder when you have 3 or 4 possums that who's going to come take care of them. And
Right.
we had the 3 originally, but as other friends saw us with possums on social media, they would say, I just caught this possum in my garage. What do I do? I would typically throw it in the canal.
Right.
I can't do it now watching your girls.
Really?
So I'd go get it, and we'd raise that till it was 3 or 4 pounds, and then go take it out in the woods and let it go.
So, like a wild possum, if you bring it in, eventually it's not going to want to kill you?
If you if you meet a girl at a bar and you try your best aggressive line, she's not going to respond
She's
too
gonna
well.
wanna kill you.
She'll want to kill you, right? But if you're nice and gentle and she figures you're not a threat,
Right.
maybe she'll talk to you, right? Same with a possum.
Really?
They give them a few minutes, they calm down, you can pick them up and do whatever you want with them.
Really?
Yeah.
After a couple minutes of
It when they're in
Who knew?
a live cage, a live trap, I'll stand there for a couple minutes, just sit down with them, open it up, and you can take them right out, hold
That's
them like
wild.
a baby.
I would have never known that. All right. So, what other hunt? Do you guys have any other quotas this year? What other hunts do you guys have
Yes.
planned? Like, what's going down?
We've got
I know
one.
she's probably itching now.
Yeah, I gotta get something.
Shelby's next over at Babcock in Fort Myers.
Now, is that
A rifle
private
hunt.
or public?
That's public as well. Yeah,
Is that a quota hunt or?
quota, yes sir. The Mia, it's actually Mia's going to be at. You did your archery hunt at Babcock. You got a
Yes.
gun hunt at Babcock.
Oh, yeah.
And then Mia had her bow hunt at Prairie Lakes, and Shelby's got a gun hunt at Prairie Lakes coming up. So
Okay.
those are our public land hunts, and then we're going to try to do some private stuff with Wally.
Yes.
Now, do
Definitely.
you have other areas? Have you scouted in 3 lakes, or you're like, I'm gonna go sit in Mia's tree and see what else walks down?
We've hunted 3 lakes. There's a lot of area there. There's good deer there, but it's hard to get to, and there's a lot of hunters. So 3 lakes, we turkey hunt there, but for deer and pigs, I'd rather go other places.
Right. So, but I mean, she has a hunt at Prairie Lakes.
Prairie Lakes, yep.
So, do you have other areas you're gonna sit at, or are you gonna like?
Oh,
go,
yeah.
Go to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same area that.
Yeah, we Hunt Stand, the app.
Yeah.
I use that, and even in the off season, we go run around, scout around. Turkey season, I'm always looking for deer spots. Deer season, I'm looking for turkey spots.
Right.
So it's been really, we know that area now. Corbett, we spent some time in Corbett. I'd like to spend more time because it's close. Mm-hmm. It's not so far away.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess you read and hear and see that I feel like the deer do different stuff down here than they would up there. Like, I mean, like somebody posts like, I live in X part of Florida. When would rut be? And literally, I mean, you give 12 answers for
Right.
like almost every month,
Correct.
so it's hard to see if when you're walking around in Turkey, if you're like, oh, well, all the deers are bedded here, I guess it might not be the same come deer season, but
Right. Well, you find a buck rub, they're in velvet. It's the beginning of the season.
Right.
Rut is, a month or so after that. Where they are in velvet, good luck finding them, come season time. But the
Right.
deer that Mia shot, we've got.
Did you have it on camera?
We got him on camera 6 weeks earlier. That's
Oh,
the
really?
only shot. It was
Same
a night
spot?
Same spot. Nighttime shot. He came out of velvet, and we've got him, and then she got him.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what was the deal with, you got one last year?
Yes, that
Well,
was
Tell me about
fun.
that.
We went up one weekend and we found a spot. I was in a tree stand with him, and we saw a buck come in. It was a tiny one with little. Well, it was pretty big actually. And he kept walking around for a while. He was going behind bushes, and I didn't have a shot. And then after,
You're shooting a gun, or?
yeah,
Pistol gun.
and I finally had a shot, and I took it. So I was very happy, and I was like, I think I got it. I think I got it. And so after a while, we went down, and we went to look for it. I waited by the tree that we were hunting in, and he went in the bushes to find it. And he was like, "Oh, Shelby, I don't know if you got it." I was like, "Oh, okay." And so we kept looking a little, and I walked down the trail, and I saw it. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I was so happy. He was like, "Shelby, I don't think you got it." I was like, "Ah." So
I looked
that was a
I looked
lot
for
of
that
fun.
deer for 30 minutes.
And it was right
no
on
blood,
the trail.
No blood. It's real thick swamp, and I kind of crisscrossed, from the road, from the fire break to the swamp and back and forth, and I finally came back out onto the fire break, and I was walking back up and thinking, we're just not going to find this deer, and it's before we even knew about calling the dogs
Yeah,
in,
right.
and was walking back, and I told Shelby, I said, listen, let's just, your younger eyes, it's getting dark. Let's just walk the fire break, hope for the best. And
Wow.
she started leading the way, and we probably went 50 feet, and there he was just on the side of the fire break. He had crashed through, come back out, and dropped right there. But he was a 3-year-old cow horn spike, not a big rack at all, but 125-pound deer.
Yeah.
So it was, he needed to go. So it was a good
It was a good
freezer
one
buck.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. So he's 3-year-old and a cowhorn spike, huh?
It shouldn't have been. It should have
Yeah,
been
it should
a
have.
pretty solid deer for for that area. But he was just
That's how he was.
he was just a
That's
big
how
deer.
God made him.
Yep. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
And then I got mine, and I won that competition.
Well,
I don't know. I don't feel like it's over. I don't feel like the
No, not
competition's
yet.
over.
Not
I feel
yet.
like it's gonna go on for a long time.
Yeah.
yes.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy how much. I mean, how many deer are found by dogs, or how many deer could be found? Because I know
Right.
both times I shot my deer, they didn't drop. I got a doe in Georgia, and I knew I whacked her because she did this big old back leg kick, and I was like, oh, dude, she's toast. And it was my first deer, and I was super excited. And in my head, I planned on waiting 20 minutes. I might have waited 20 seconds.
Right.
Literally, just like put the rifle down. No, I unloaded it, climbed down, and just ran down there. I was like, I have to
I have to
see it.
find
Yeah,
it.
I was like, and it was like, I mean, I had driven to Georgia. I was up there maybe 3 days, and it was like, I think it was the last hunt, and I was lucky enough to my wife's uncle had sat in the stand the other morning, and he's like, all right, he's like, I seen 3-4 does walk out right from a tree over there. He's like, you'll see it. And he kind of explained where it would be. He's like, right at 8 a.m. they walked, right at like 8 a.m. they walked out. So I'm sitting there, and it's like somebody tells you that, then all of a sudden you think it's scheduled. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? They'll be here at 8. So, 6:30, sun's coming up. I don't see him. 7, I don't see him. 7:30, I don't see him. And it's like 7:45. I'm like, well, they'll be here in 15. like it's like the bus route.
Right,
Like,
right.
it's just you get it in your head. And like, it's almost worse to hear a time, because then all of a sudden you just get it in your head like they're going to be here at 8.
Right.
And so it's 8 o'clock, and I'm staring at where I think they're going to be. And it's like 8:30. And it's like 8:45. And it's like 9 o'clock. I look, and it's 9 o'clock. And I'm sitting back in a box stand, and I like lean up on the edge and like put my face forward as if like 2 inches forward was going to really help me materialize these deer. And I lean my head forward and squint, and I go, come on. And right then, I just see this snout just pop through a bush. And I was like, is that a... I was like, oh, here they are.
Right.
And like 1 came, 2 came, 3 came, 4 came. And I'm like, so it's my first year. And I'm like, do not shoot a button buck. Like, do not do you know, because I'm on private land. And, you know, for one, I don't know what the legality was. For 2, I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? Like, they're managing their bucks. They've had this land for a long time, this lease, and they, you know, there's rules. And it's almost like scarier than a FWC rule. You know, your father-in-law and his friends who you got invited to, you're like, okay, don't be a chump. Don't shoot a button.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah. So, you know, and they were telling me, they're like, look, you know, don't shoot a yearling, shoot, you know, something a little bigger. So I'm sitting there and they're all walking in, and like the biggest doe turns broadside. And I had an issue turkey hunting, which I'll tell the story, I'm sure, at some point in this podcast, but where I didn't commit, and I could have killed the turkey, but I was like, I'm going to move slow, and which would have been fine. But the guy I was with thought I was hung up because they were like 15 yards, but he was looking at the turkey was looking at the decoy. So I was like, I'm going to go really slow and then I'm going to shoot it. So he looks over, sees me hung up, and I finally line up. And right when I go to shoot, I hear boom. And I was like, what just happened? And then it clicked. I was like, oh my God, he just shot that turkey. I was like, so like I had that in my head. I'm like, just get it done.
Right.
And you know what? That doe walked broadside, and I just put the gun to the second the scope hit my eye, I was right in the crease, and I just pulled the trigger. And it might have been a 3-second like aim. It was just like, well, it doesn't get better than that. Click.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I whacked her, and I shot her with my 270, and there was just a huge blowout. And I mean, you could just see, like, I definitely got her. And then, so I called my father-in-law and was like, all right, I got a doe. And we go and we're like looking and, you know, seeing blood, and then it stops. And then it's just, that's so frustrating where you're like, where is this deer?
Not far.
No, and we trampled the area. I mean, we didn't have any option to dog up there at the time or anything like that. But we trampled the area, and it's like she like honed into the thickest part. Maybe she was running and the thickest part stopped her. Right. You know what I mean? If I was shot and running through the woods, I probably stopped where it got
safe,
thick.
Right.
So I found her. I mean, and I pulled her out, and when I lifted her up, it was like somebody turned a faucet on. I was just like,
Done.
just pouring out. But there was moments where I was like, I'm not gonna find this deer. And like and it was briar. She was in briar, so I'm just getting shredded.
Right. And your heart sinks.
Yeah, it's just pure fear. You're like, did I wound an animal? Did it, you know, is it gonna die in vain and all that? But it's all worth it especially when you find it.
Absolutely.
You get to eat it. You guys like eating deer?
Yes.
What's your favorite way to eat it?
In
Like a burger.
jerky.
Oh,
Deer
me too.
Oh,
Me too. 100%.
So good.
That doe I got ground up into sausage and burger patties and steaks.
We make everything.
I got all that.
Everything.
My wife doesn't eat venison, so it was just me eating it. And like, I'm the chef in the house, so when I cook, I'm cooking for both of us. And I'm not the type that's going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to cook these deer sausages. Like, do you know, fend for yourself? So I had to like cook what she was eating. I would never cook those sausages. And then I'd make like 20 of them. Mm-hmm. I'd like smoke them and then finish them on the grill. And I just wasn't going through them. And then I had all this deer meat, and I got a smoker, and I was like, I'm gonna make some jerky. So I bought the LEM jerky cannon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And oh my God, the next year I brought it to Big Ed, and I was like, I want this buck 100% ground deer for jerky. I ate that thing in maybe 2 months.
Right.
Just like that. And I mean, it didn't hurt that everyone else loved the jerky. And like, I think I was bringing jerky into work, and then maybe 2 months later, somebody heard me open a Ziploc bag. It might have had like pencils in it. Right. Dude, his neck snapped. And he goes, is that jerky? And I was like, no, dude, it's like a bag of colored pencils. You know what I mean? Like he thought like, where's that jerky?
Right.
And so then my father-in-law liked it so much, he shot a buck like 2 months later, and he's like, you got room in your freezer? I was like, yeah, why? What's up? And he's like, I just put 60. He's like, I'm dropping off 60 pounds of deer meat. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, can you make more of that jerky? Yeah, I was like, yeah, sure.
I'll split it with you.
Yeah. I actually have some defrosted in the fridge in the outdoor fridge right now.
Yeah, Big Ed's awesome.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's got the he puts on the buggy races that
That's
are
what you
tonight.
said tonight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's fun. It's really fun. They have like Jeeps, and they have big track buggies and like big trucks on tracks, like a tank.
Yep.
And it's a trip, man. It's
Gotta check that out.
Oh, it's a blast. The kids love it. You stand at the fence and you just get sprayed with mud, and the kids are screaming. And my son David's obsessed with monster trucks, so he's like, he thinks we're going to Monster Jam tonight, but it's
Right.
the Redneck Monster Jam.
Love it.
Yeah.
So we're excited. We're super excited. We're going to be doing that. But so other questions I had was, you grew up duck hunting? Have the girls gone duck hunting yet?
They
or?
haven't.
Not yet.
Not yet. We were talking about that on the way up. Dove
Yeah.
hunting, quail hunting,
Yeah.
duck hunting, shooting skeet, clay pigeons.
Yeah.
Wally and Jamie are doing it every weekend. So
Have you been to Quail Creek?
I have not.
Jam.
It's
It's
but
amazing.
They,
It's absolutely amazing.
Wally typically shoots in the high 90s.
Oh, really?
So we've got a pretty good teacher, and Jamie's awesome as well. So
That's
wanna
where
start
your
doing
next
that.
birthday party should be.
Yeah.
Quail Creek. It's really cool. It's like for people who don't know, it's like golfing but for skeet shooting. So there's like 14 different holes, and you get a golf cart and you drive around like the course, and each each station has the clays do something different. So like station 1, you might have 2 coming over at the same time. Station 2, 1 rolls on the ground and 1 comes from the left, and like all this stuff. So you get 100 shells, and like whoever shoots the most clays with 100 shells wins. And it's like you have scorecards. It's like golf but redneck version.
Right.
It's amazing.
Say no more.
Sounds
That's
Yeah.
where we're
fun.
going,
Yeah,
right?
it's cool.
Redneck Olympics.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's like, it's probably the most fun I've had. I actually asked my wife's husband, asked my wife's father if I could marry his daughter after Quail Creek one time.
No kidding.
Yeah, we were driving it. We had guns in the truck. He's had some Crown, and I'm driving his big work truck, and I'm just like, hey, I got a question. I'm like, can I-
This.
yeah, I'm like looking at all the guns in the back seat. I'm like, can I marry your daughter? But
That's a good way to do it.
yeah. He said yes, thank God. So obviously you guys do a lot of scouting. And you said, we've kind of gone over that, but you said you're pretty much scouting year round, right? You just make separate trips up there, or when you're up there, you're like, well, let's sit for hogs, or all sorts of stuff.
We're getting ready for the hogs are just always there.
Yeah.
So, but turkey hunting, try to get out there early.
Yeah.
Start patterning those guys, seeing where they're at, and then hope for the best on opening day. And 3 Lakes, they let the youth go in a week before,
Okay.
which is so nice.
Right.
But you got a lot of people up there that, they're hunting without a kid. So,
Or drag a kid that doesn't want to hunt.
right. Last year we've had people come up on us, 2 adults. Like had to have some words, but
Yeah.
that's the scary part when you're with kids and people like to shoot decoys. So
It's
typically
insane.
we
People
don't
like to
use
shoot anything
decoys.
that moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's really insane.
Right. We've been lucky though.
Yeah, I have a
So
lot of
fun.
fear of that, man. I have a lot of fear. I was gonna go scout my 3 Lake spot, and I just started getting riddled with fear of bringing because Dave, if I go do anything, I pretty much have to bring Davey because he's our wild one. So I knew if I was going to take a trip up there that my wife was going to be like, all right, bring Dave. But then in my head, I'm like, dude, what about snakes? I'm like, he's 3. At the time, he was 2. So, I'm trying to get past the fear. Not that I'm scared about it for me.
Right. What happens?
But when you think about your kid, you're like, well, now I'm more scared. So I think conversations and talking about it is what's gonna,
Right. You want, every snake to them is a venomous snake.
right.
Don't pick
Just like
it up.
every gun's loaded.
Yeah.
Every gun's loaded. So they've grown up that way. And, a snake, they trust me enough to know
Right.
Most of the
that
time.
they are not,
yeah, most
they're
of the
not going to come after you. So, you could be, this close, a foot away from them. They're not going to attack you.
Yeah.
You walk around them, you see them, you walk around. But, the fear of the dog handlers, those dogs are just on a track and they're not paying attention.
Oh,
And
yeah.
20, so Allie got bit on one of her tracks.
Yeah,
Really?
by a water moccasin
yeah.
a couple
Oh,
of weeks
really?
ago.
Yeah. So she's healed up really well.
Did they have to give any antivenom or?
Not any venom, but they put her on a couple drugs and
Really?
helped her through. But
She healed pretty quickly, Hunter said.
Yeah.
So that's
Really?
good.
Oh, that doesn't help my fears.
but if but like you said, teaching them not to be fearful. But I hunt with my daughters.
Right.
We drive wherever we're off road, maybe too far off road sometimes. Running the airboat. Wally gives us the airboat. Have fun, go at it. What happens to me if something goes wrong?
Right.
Will they be able to get out? So they can both drive the truck. They can drive the airboat.
Right.
They can get help, and we make sure we've always got phone signal. So we try to be as smart as possible.
Yeah. Gotcha. So I did want to talk about, Mia, what you got a turkey last March?
Yes.
Let's hear
This
it.
is an
Let's hear
interesting
it.
story. So it was like a family hunt. We were all up in a pop-up blind, and these 3 turkeys come in, and my dad was like, Shelby, you shoot the one on the left, I'll shoot the one on the right. So on the count of 3, we're both going to shoot. Shelby shoots the turkey that I was supposed to shoot, but
Because
it didn't drop.
They were like switching back and forth, so it was
Right.
before like it was a few. It
Yeah,
was a while.
it took
before
a
we could
couple
shoot.
minutes for us to like get a
20
good
minutes.
shot. Yeah. So Shelby was like, okay, I'm going to shoot the one on the left. Mia, you shoot the one on the right. Back and forth for a good 20 minutes. They were walking. On the count of 3, pull the trigger. So Shelby shoots the one on my side because it was on her side. So she was following that one back and forth.
Right.
She didn't just stick to her side.
Gotcha.
So on the count of 3, we both, Shelby shot
shoot.
early.
No, I shot on
Shot on
3.
like 2, which
I
was
shot
not
on 3.
planned.
She shot on like 20.
She didn't shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, but
She
she still shot
waited.
early. So she shot my turkey and it was still running. So I shot it and it dropped. So technically, I won that competition
So
as
Actually,
well.
that turkey Shelby shoots and it rolls
It
the
rolled
turkey.
over.
And the other one that Mia didn't shoot at flew up, but it came back down and started to fight with that
Yeah.
one.
Oh, cool.
Like, get up.
And then they get up and start to run, and I'm like, Mia, shoot!
Just
And-
shoot.
And now it goes from an 18-yard shot to a 40-yard shot, and she rolled the one that Shelby had already hit.
Oh, really?
So we double teamed him.
we double
Yes.
teamed.
Yeah.
But we say it's Mia's because she
I
killed
She
finished
put the
it
fatal
off.
shot on
Yeah,
it, huh?
she put it down. She
That's
put it
fun.
down. That was a good one. And then her turkey last year,
And then another one came in that
Oh, yeah.
same day, and she
she could have doubled in the
Almost
same.
got
and
it.
I shot the tree.
and it
Stupid tree.
it fell, and we were all celebrating. And
Yeah,
then we
it
looked,
actually
and it
did
got
drop.
up and ran.
Really?
We like flipped the blind over. We're like, where did it go? And we see
He
it running
went running
off.
after it.
15-yard shot. She shooting through a pie plate hole through the palmettos. We could just see him coming back and forth. And 20 minutes, we're listening to 6 or 7 birds on the other side of the palmettos. And I'm like, if he sticks his head through that hole again, blast him. And boom, she shoots. And I mean, you see, it's on video. Feathers fly. We're high-fiving. Woo, we doubled. And I look over, I'm like, where's he at? I flip out of the blind. I go, and there he is, just running.
Yeah.
I look, it's like most of the pattern. It was next to a palmetto and a oak tree. And
So maybe a pellet
so,
or two.
Yeah.
So that turkey will live to see another day.
That's fun. Well, I'm sure there's a bunch of them that won't with these
Yep.
with these girls. That's cool. Very, very cool. So, I think we'll get close to wrapping it up. But I wanted to ask you two and then your dad, like, what's the most important thing about your hunting career?
Making sure we like stay safe always, because if something bad were to happen to either of these two, I would have to take over, and I don't like doing that. I would have to wake up even earlier in the morning. But yeah, staying safe and make sure everything like goes smoothly and no one gets hurt.
Yeah, probably definitely staying safe and like having a plan if something like happens. Like you never know what could happen, so you need to have like an escape plan. So
Second exit.
yes,
Always have an escape plan. Yep.
Now, what would you say as being the most important thing about your hunting?
Continuing to grow, we throw a lot of darts at the wall to see what sticks, whether it's gymnastics or cheerleading or surfing or skateboarding or rock climbing, hunting. Just want to keep engaging them, see what they like, and if they don't, we move on. If they like it, we stick to it. So this seems to have stuck pretty well. So
Yeah.
The challenge, social media, seeing what everybody else is doing and getting great ideas. Like, me wants to go jump out of a plane.
Yeah, when I'm seeing skydiving,
So,
that's what I'm doing.
That's next on the list.
Yeah. Well, like you said this, I hate to like circle back to social media, but it's like, at least in the hunting community, it can be pretty healthy.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like when I sit there and watch you raise your daughters in the woods, it's like a tool for me to immediately I was like, when I first stumbled across you, because we have a lot of mutual friends, and I was like, oh, who's this dude? And I was like, oh, cool. He's got 2 daughters. He's taking them out in the woods. I was like, I'm going to message him and see how he started. Like, you don't obviously just start in the deer stand, letting him shoot a deer. It starts way before that. Right. And I was like, I need to reach out and figure out where I should start. And it's, support as hunters. And that's why I want to do this podcast, is to teach other people and to, answer questions that are unanswered, and to have these fun conversations about different hunts and stuff like that. Like all these people listening, most of them would never get to hear your hunts. You know what I mean? And to be able to, I hear so many cool stories, and to be able to give them to other people is super exciting. But the more people that are engaged with hunting, the more conservation there's going to be, and the more conservation is better for everyone. And it's not just hunters, it's better for every person on this planet. So, as hunters, we're the biggest, ambassadors of saving wildlife. And it's funny, a lot of people,
they don't understand
it. And they're like, oh, save the bears or whatever. And you're like, well, how much money have you donated to make sure the bears have land and that they're habitat being checked, and that they're researched on and checking for disease and all? Like, do you just say save the bears, or what do you do to save the bears? Because I know where my hunting license money goes to.
Right.
And so the more hunters we have, the better. And the more people that are involved, the more they'll have to say, yeah, well, we need this land because this billion-dollar industry wants the land. You know what I mean? And for you ladies to
fight for that.
Yeah.
You really have to put in work for everything.
Yeah.
So, well, I know there's a lot of people that have been supportive of this podcast. My wife, Alicia Addy, and, Andrew. Andrew, you said the website that people can find you at is what, Andrew? NYCZ.com. Andrew's helping me. He's like, I've been picking his brain like crazy starting this podcast. It's it's new to me. I've never done it. And so anyone who's interested in doing something like this, I would definitely go to his website, and it'll be posted when I post the podcast. But I really wanted to thank you 3 for driving up. And
thank you for having us. This is
awesome.
great.
Yeah, thank you guys a lot, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.